Go wherever you want. If you ever walk away, you'll come crawling back to apologize." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't sound angry. She said it calmly, cold, certain, like she already knew how my life would end, and she was daring me to try. I stayed silent. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't say a word. I just nodded and walked away. But inside, every nerve in my body was screaming. Everyone around us thought she had the upper hand. Friends, family, even strangers who only saw fragments of our life together. They thought I'd cave. They thought I'd beg. They thought I'd come back apologizing, just like she said. What they didn't see was what I started doing the moment those words left her mouth. The quiet moves, the decisions she couldn't notice, the patience she mistook for weakness. I didn't rush. I didn't react. I waited. And what came next would catch everyone off guard. My name is Lawrence. I'm 32. I work as a software developer, living in Charlotte, North Carolina. I like structure, routines, predictability. I think before I speak. I don't enjoy conflict. She's Cindy, 30, loud, charismatic, ambitious in a way that filled rooms. She wanted to be seen, to shine, to rise fast, no matter what it cost. For a long time, we made sense. My calm balanced her chaos. Her energy pulled me out of my shell. At least, that's what I told myself. I trusted her. I didn't argue. I didn't leave. Because I believed in us, or at least, I believed in what I thought we were building. I wasn't perfect, not even close. But when I messed up, I owned it. I tried to fix it every time. I supported her goals, even the messy ones. I defended her when friends questioned her choices. I covered for her when family whispered doubts. I invested my time, my energy, my money, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. My evenings shifted around her schedule. My weekends became our weekends. My apartment slowly stopped feeling like mine. And when doubt crept in, late at night, lying awake, I told myself I was being paranoid. That real relationships required sacrifice. That compromise meant swallowing your pride. The first crack didn't come with a fight. It came disguised as a joke. That night, sitting across from her in our little apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina, something shifted, almost imperceptibly at first. I'd been telling her about a promotion at work, a big opportunity to lead a project across teams. I was excited. She listened, but the smile she gave me felt off. "Wow, you'd be lost without me at home, huh?" she said, leaning back on the couch, twirling her glass of wine. I laughed nervously. "Excuse me. You know, managing everything here, keeping your schedule straight, you'd never survive without me reminding you to eat or actually pick up your clothes from the floor?" She smirked. "I keep you human, Lawrence." I chuckled, brushing it off. "You're exaggerating." "No," she said, leaning closer. "I'm serious. You need me." Her tone wasn't playful. There was something in the way she said it, a quiet power lurking underneath. My stomach sank, but I forced a laugh. "Yeah, I guess I do sometimes." I told myself I was overthinking. A few weeks later, a similar moment. She'd been scrolling through her phone while I cooked dinner. I asked about the text she sent to a friend. She rolled her eyes. "Relax," she said, snapping the phone shut. "You think I'm doing something shady? You're so dramatic sometimes. Honestly, you need to stop overanalyzing everything." I froze. Not because she caught me, but because I couldn't tell if I should feel uneasy or if I was just being paranoid. Then came the jokes, little comments that felt off, the kind you laugh at but leave a mark. "Imagine if you left me tomorrow," she said one evening, flipping through a magazine. "You'd have nothing, seriously. Your little apartment wouldn't even survive your Netflix addiction without me reminding you to pay the rent on time." I laughed again, but quieter this time. My mind raced. Was she joking or hinting? It didn't stop there. Subtle control creeping in, small nudges, friendly advice that was really pressure. She'd arrange my mornings, my wardrobe, even my side projects, not out of help, out of power. And every time I questioned it, she would smile, laugh, and say, "Lawrence, you're imagining things again. I just care." You know that." I apologized. I told her I was overthinking, but the feeling lingered. A twinge I couldn't shake. Every text that went unanswered, every offhand joke, every smile that seemed too sharp. It was the first time I realized she thought she was indispensable. She believed she controlled the narrative, and I had been letting her. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself it would pass. But deep down, I knew this was the first domino. Things got worse, quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't shout. She didn't even argue. She just decided. Dinner plans, weekend plans, friend invites. Even the paint colors in the apartment started changing without me noticing. At first, it was little things. "I bought this rug, Lawrence. You'll love it." And I did, or at least I said I did. But then it escalated. She booked a vacation for the two of us, without asking me which dates worked. She invited her friends along, claiming I would fit in and have fun. She bought tickets and booked hotels. I asked, "Wait, what about work?" "You'll make it work. Don't be dramatic," she said, brushing it off like I was the unreasonable one. Independence became disrespect. I started noticing that every choice I made for myself was met with an eyebrow raise or a sigh. One evening, I mentioned wanting to take a solo weekend hiking trip. Cindy leaned back on the couch, arms crossed, smirk on her face. "You'd really go off alone. Why bother? You're lucky I even let you have weekends at all. Don't think you can just disappear from my life." "Excuse me?" I asked. "You heard me. I just think you're lucky I'm here. You don't get this much consideration anywhere else." I blinked, and she smiled. That calm, confident smile, like she'd already won. She'd start making decisions for me in front of friends, too. "Lawrence, you don't need to handle that. I'll take care of it," she'd say, turning to everyone nearby, implying I couldn't manage my own life. And I would nod, embarrassed, while a voice inside me whispered, "Why am I letting her do this?" She justified everything with the same line, the one I would hear over and over. She said she was just being honest. Honest, confident, carefree, and every small humiliation, every creeping control was wrapped in that smile. She never yelled, she never demanded, she controlled. And then, that night, in the quiet of the apartment after a long work day, she said it again. "You'd be lost without me, you know." I froze. That sentence, casual, almost affectionate, held something darker. Not love, not care. A warning, a claim, a declaration. That's when she said it. We were sitting across from each other on the couch, the hum of the apartment around us. She'd been controlling, dismissive, sharp in subtle ways all evening. I could feel it coming, but I wasn't prepared. And then she leaned back, calm, almost playful. Her eyes locked on mine. Her voice was soft, deliberate, slow, measured. "Go wherever you want." A pause, a sip of wine, a smile like she already knew the impact of what she just said. "If you ever leave me," her tone shifted, a slight edge, "you'll come crawling back to apologize." I didn't respond. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I didn't even flinch. I just swallowed, quiet, heavy. The words hung in the air like a shadow stretching across the room. Every nerve in my body tightened, but I stayed still. I let them sink. I didn't respond. I told myself I was overthinking. But the weight of that line stayed with me long after the laughter and conversation. I told myself I was overthinking. For the first time, I understood just how serious she believed she was, that she thought she owned the story, that she thought she could predict me. I didn't respond. I just sat there, watching, breathing, pretending calm while the thought ran over and over. So, this is what it comes down to. This is the challenge, the dare. I didn't say anything. I told myself it was a joke, just her being dramatic, trying to provoke me. I convinced myself I was overthinking, that I was reading too much into her words. After all, we had been together for 3 years. One line, one night shouldn't undo all of that, right? I stayed. She got bolder. It started small, laughing at me in front of friends, just a little jab. "Lawrence, careful, you're overcomplicating things again. You'd lose without me." And everyone laughed as if I was the clown. I smiled politely. I didn't say anything. They thought I didn't hear it. Then came the testing. She started making decisions for me in public, ordering for me at restaurants without asking, speaking for me at gatherings, dismissing my preferences as cute but irrelevant. "Lawrence wouldn't like spicy." "Don't worry, I'll fix it," she'd say, hands on my plate, eyes twinkling, and I'd nod, embarrassed, saying nothing. I didn't say anything. At work events, she'd tell colleagues casually, "Lawrence wouldn't survive organizing this on his own. Lucky I'm here." She delivered it with confidence, almost pride, and I'd swallow, smile, nod. They thought I didn't hear it. Even at home, subtle humiliations piled up. She'd move my things without asking. My favorite coffee mug, my books, my small routines, all quietly reshaped to her rhythm. I didn't say anything. She began to make casual threats hidden in compliments. "You know, Lawrence, if you ever left me, it would be hard for you to ever get someone who understands you like I do." I laughed nervously, pretended it didn't sting. I didn't say anything. I stayed calm, even though my gut told me otherwise. Every time I questioned her, she'd brush it off with that same familiar tone. "Oh, Lawrence, you're imagining things. I'm just being honest." I told myself I was overthinking. Again. But she was escalating. And every day, I felt the tension tighten. My own friends and family started noticing, but I insisted it wasn't that bad. I was rationalizing, denying, hoping it was a phase. I didn't say anything, but inside, I felt it building. Every joke that landed wrong, every tiny power grab, every subtle humiliation. They thought I didn't hear it. I heard it. I saw it. And that's when I started paying attention, quietly, measuring. Because you don't react immediately when someone underestimates you. You prepare. I expected support. We'd had a small disagreement earlier that week. Nothing huge, just another she crossed a line moment. She had taken one of my personal projects, rebranded it as hers, and casually posted about it on social media. I didn't call her out yet, hoping to avoid a fight. Silence, I thought, would keep things manageable. That evening I called my sister just to vent, hoping for a little understanding. I said softly, She's overstepping again. I feel like my own space doesn't exist anymore." Her response stunned me. "Lawrence, maybe you're just too uptight," she said. "Cindy seems like she's just helping you. You're lucky she even bothers." Lucky. My stomach sank. I'd trusted my family to have my back. My sister knew the patterns. She knew the little humiliations that piled up, the subtle control. But instead of validation, I got rationalization. My silence, the fact I hadn't exploded yet, had made her the sympathetic one. And that night, Cindy called me, laughing. "Guess what? Your sister told me you're lucky I'm around." I couldn't respond immediately. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or scream. She was benefiting from my patience, my silence. Every boundary I tried to enforce, every small violation I hadn't reacted to, became her leverage. A few hours later, I ran into one of our mutual friends at a dinner. I thought, finally? Someone who knows. Maybe they'll get it. Cindy was there, of course. She smiled at me, eyes twinkling with that confident control she had perfected. I started explaining, carefully, measured, just enough, but before I could finish, she laughed lightly to our friends. "Lawrence is imagining things again. You know him, he overthinks. Isn't that right?" Everyone laughed politely. I smiled, swallowed my anger. I didn't say anything. I walked home later, head heavy, heart tight. My apartment felt smaller than usual. Every corner reminded me of her presence, of my own restraint, of how even my friends and family could be swayed. That's when I realized she wasn't afraid of losing me. I stopped asking to be understood. It wasn't sudden. It was slow, a quiet click inside me that changed everything. Every time she twisted my words, every time my family or friends sided with her, every time she smiled like she'd won, I let it pass. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I didn't defend myself. I stopped asking to be understood. I stopped justifying my feelings. I stopped begging for acknowledgement. I stopped trying to prove that I wasn't overreacting. Instead, I watched. Her patterns became clearer when I wasn't speaking. The jokes that stung, the subtle control, the casual disrespect, all of it became obvious when I wasn't scrambling to repair her image in front of others. She told me that week, laughing, "I don't know why you even care so much, Lawrence. Relax, I'm just being honest." I smiled. Not a real smile, just a mask. I didn't respond. At work, friends asked me if everything was okay. I said yes. But inside, I cataloged every slight, every lie, every manipulation. I didn't defend myself, but I wasn't passive. Cindy thought she still controlled everything. I let her. I kept living my life in plain sight, arranging the new job, booking the new apartment, moving small things out without her noticing. I did not do anything in the house anymore for her. She thought I was tolerating her chaos. Laundry piled up in the corner, bills went unpaid, invitations were forgotten, social media posts had typos she never noticed, dates were off, photos mislabeled. She boasted to friends that she was handling everything flawlessly. She laughed at messages I didn't respond to. She said she was just being honest, I reminded myself. Meanwhile, I quietly documented everything. Screenshots, recordings, notes, not to humiliate her publicly, just in case her own arrogance became her undoing. Friends started asking questions. "Wait, you said Lawrence did that?" She laughed it off. I didn't comment. I didn't expose her. I didn't warn anyone. But I was moving. I wasn't hiding. I was preparing, patiently, calmly, watching her scramble under the weight of her own entitlement. By the time she realized she couldn't control me, it would be too late. Friday morning. I finished packing the last of my essentials, clothes, electronics, documents, all in the car. I didn't touch her decorations, her furniture, her carefully curated chaos. That was hers. Cindy woke up late, pajamas, hair in a mess, coffee cup in hand. What are you doing?" I didn't answer immediately. I slid the keys across the counter. "This is my notice. Apartment lease ends next month. I'm moving my things out now." She froze. You can't just leave. You'll regret this." I smiled quietly. "By the time you notice, I won't be here to argue anymore." She tried to block the door. I stepped past her. Her friends called. She yelled into the phone. I didn't respond. She realized, as she watched from the doorway, that I had finally claimed my life back. I drove to my new apartment, not rushed, not vengeful, just deliberate. Unpacking, arranging, claiming space that was mine. My job was waiting, my routine unfolding, my future intact. And the world she thought she controlled started noticing. Friends who had laughed at me began to question her stories. Social media posts crumbled under scrutiny. Bills remained unpaid, deadlines were missed, and no one came running to fix it for her because I wasn't there. Her control, her power, her threats, all meaningless. I was gone, emotionally and physically, and in that absence, the consequences she had been sowing for years finally caught up with her. By the time she noticed, I wasn't there to argue anymore. No gloating, no victory lap, just the quiet, undeniable fact. I made my move. She lost. Life moved on. Weeks pass. Her messages come slowly at first. "Lawrence, can we talk? I need to explain." "I messed up." I don't reply. She switches tone, softens, tries persuasion, even desperation. But there's no bridge for her to get back in. Friends mention her quietly, gossiping. She's floundering. She's realizing she overplayed her hand. I move through my life. New apartment, new routine, respect at work, peace, and I never went crawling back.